going to enjoy it. I'm not going to start bringing people on to ramp and rave. I mean, they got medical people you can go talk to.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. No, we have a civilized, intelligent conversations here. It's ranting and raving. That's a whole nother category that's it's not in our line.
Well, you saw it. You're the one that alerted to me about what was going on.
Believe me, I agree with you. I was like, he wanted to be a guest on this show. Maybe he got us mixed up with Morton Downey or somebody. I don't know, but it's like that's wrong. He had the wrong show in mind, definitely.
Well, something was not going to happen on my show, and I apologize to him. I'm not this type of show out there for. There's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of shows out there you can get on and you can rant and rave. You can sit there and drink your beer and eat your pizza while you're doing the show right there, and it doesn't make any difference because that's how they do it. Unfortunately, we're on radio stations, we're on the internet, and soon to be in Australia on a radio station. I'm trying to work a deal out right now with this radio station in Melbourne, Australia, that wants to carry our reruns. So, I mean, our show is very credible, and that's the way I'm going to make it. Well, an escaped cow. That's a cow that ran away. Didn't like being, in the pasture. Can you blame him? I mean, if you're a cow, would you want to have to... Oh, no way. He decides, or she decides, I should say, to go window shopping in the local community. And stops by every shop window. And just peers into the window. Looking at the goods of these stores and stuff they have to sell. And really loved mixing with the people in the parking lots and going up and greeting them. Now, this is rather interesting. And also, after all this stuff, she decides to go into a grocery store. Now, who says, I can't eat any more steaks after this? I'll tell you that. The cow decided to go take a stroll in the grocery store. You suppose she got a little bit of shell shock when she seen milk in there and steaks and stuff like that? I'll tell you, that's awful. Well, poor cow. Wouldn't you be? Yeah, if I went in the store and seen, human steaks and long pig sausage and stuff like that, I would be a little scared and shocked, yeah. Well, a dog that vanished in Minnesota a long time ago. Well, she became reunited with her dog because of this beer company putting pictures of lost dogs on their cans of beer. That is a great idea to put, because I always see on telephone poles somebody lost a cat or a dog. Have you seen them here or there? But there's really hasn't been many outlets as far as like drinking things like we do with kids. But that's a good idea. So obviously it paid off. It did. Well, Groundhog Day. This year, the groundhog predicts an early spring. Then spring kind of goes into summer in kind of like a spring mode, and summer will come very late this year. Antarctica, James, they did some testing under this huge glacier and was shocked to find that the temperature under the glacier was warm water, and now they're worried it's even going to speed up the melting process in Antarctica even way faster. And they're saying now, by 2050, millions upon millions of people in the United States are going to be displaced because of the sea level. Wow. I did read something about how they was shocked by how much warmer the water was, like 3.6 degrees warmer or something. And that don't seem like much, but it really is, because that was above freezing, where the water should have been that colder. So yeah, that was quite something. Now that is scary to come out and find temperature of the water above freezing. Yeah, I mean, and listen, the totality of that is, like they're saying, is going to be displacement of melting water, and people, it takes up land. So
like you've always been saying, people in Florida beware.
Well, not just Florida, all the East Coast or the West Coast. It's going to be rather interesting what is going to happen here. And again, I've been reading anywhere from, because they're not that accurate on their predictions, but, computer models show anywhere from 2040 to 2050 when it's going to hit. At the same time, we're going to be with abundance of seawater coming onto the land. There's going to be a huge shortage of drinking water, pure, clean water.
Oh, yeah. Always. Anytime there's any kind of different drastic changes in weather and rise of water and stuff like that, it's always going to be shortage of water. And that's where the real currency is going to end up being someday. I really feel that.
Well, yeah, it's scary, too. And also, a lot of other weird earth changes are going on. We have these volcanoes erupting right and left. My feeling is something under Antarctica, maybe a super volcano or a volcano or something, is getting, anxious and is heating the water like a teapot. And that's what's maybe also speeding up this process of Antarctica kind of like dwindling down. Yeah,
because you're right. Every other day there's different, not just volcanoes, Gary, but a lot of seismic activity all over the world has really been cranked up. It's on the rise, and there's a lot more happening than there usually is per average anyway.
Well, yeah, that's what's scary. We got these earthquakes. It seems to be almost a daily thing. We have, volcanoes going off. We got the sea rise, going. I mean, what more can go wrong?
Another thing, you could start kicking up a lot more hurricanes and storms and weird storms, and those aren't good. And another thing a lot of people might not realize is when there's earthquakes out in the ocean, those is what causes tsunamis, and those are a whole nother disaster.
Oh, yeah, we got that going. And then in the UK, they got dumped with some snow, and the temperatures were like a mini ice age temperatures. And that was kind of interesting, too, because that just hit the news. A lot of strange things going on. And you heard a lot of the stuff first, because I've been predicting this for a long time, on the show.
Oh, yeah, you have. And then I've reported a lot about the things that happened to them. And then, again, with the magnetic shifting, that's got to stir the pot a little bit, too. Yeah, as we know, well known, and it really messes up the animals and what they do and their normal habitat and what they should do, and they're in places they shouldn't be. And, well, here's an example. It was 65 degrees here today, and I've never remembered the day. This is usually the coldest part of the year where I live. It's usually between 10 and 10 below for this 2-week period, and today it was 65. I've never remembered degrees over maybe 30 this time of the year.
Now, what's the weather predicted for tomorrow?
50s.
Crazy.
I'm telling you.
And we broke our record up here near the Seattle, Washington area. We have had more rain in the last 30 days than the whole year combined.
Yeah, matter of fact, I've got a story coming up about the Seattle, Washington area, about how much rain you guys have gotten. You've broken your records.
I was getting really worried because we got a cabin on our property, and that thing is like 16 inches off the ground. And what was going on here the other day, my son comes up to me and he goes, it's almost up to the deck of the cottage. And my concern was, oh boy, that would flood the inside and do a lot of damage. Thank God the rain stopped for like 2 days.
Yeah, I'll tell you that it rains. Some places it rains so much that it can't. The seepage doesn't keep up with how much is coming down.
Well, after 30 days, you know what happens is the ground it's like a sponge, right?
Yeah.
You keep pouring water into a sponge and it takes it. And then one moment later, it's now saturated. It can't take any more water. Well, that's what's happened to like our ground, down at the compound. Our sponge has gone to the point it can't take anymore. So it's forming a lake. Our pasture, you could go out swimming in it. I might as well go put some trout in it and have a trout farm out there because the pasture's flooded and it looks like a mini pond. Well, half-acre mini pond anyway.
Yeah, that's a lot of water. Again, your part of land where you're at's like a sponge. It can only take so much, and then it's going to just start like reversing, coming right back out, or not even going in, and it's going to build up like you're saying. And boy, you got your shed out there anchored down anywhere in case it starts floating away?
No, it's not really. Hopefully, it won't do that. But my concern now is with this much saturation here down at the compound. We got all cedar trees, almost 2 acres of cedar trees. Oh. My concern is if we get a freezing spell now, or if we get a windstorm coming through in the next week or two, I might find myself, with a divided house because we got trees all around the house that are well over 100 foot tall. And in one of those cedar trees, these cedar trees are not small trees. They're huge in diameter. I hate to have one of those come crashing through because it isn't going to stop till it hits the wherever when it comes through. And that's my concern.
Yeah. And the cedar trees kind of have a habit of their roots don't go very deep. They kind of go down and out to the right and left instead of going deep. So it doesn't have a lot to hold on to. It wouldn't take much, like you're saying, to blow them over probably in your area, which that is scary.
Well, we've had some ones out in there, in my mini forest. If you walk out there, there's some 150-foot, 100-foot cedar trees that are huge around. I'm talking, maybe about 8 feet around diameter that dropped last year. And, it's scary because any one of those, if they would have dropped the wrong way, would have been, right where I'm talking at.
Yeah, boy, oh boy. I'm telling you. And, matter of fact, that's right. It knocked out a lot of the stuff you had last year for like a couple days from a snowstorm or something you had going on.
Oh, yeah. Now, again, I want everybody to think about Rush Lombard. If you like him or not, that's not the point. He announced today that he has advanced cancer in the lungs, lung cancer. And what he noticed, he went to the doctor because he said he was shortness of breath. When he was walking, he couldn't, get his breath. He went in there, they checked, and oh my God, he had lung cancer. He said he was not in any pain or anything at this point. I sure hope, they can do something for him because I hate anybody to, cancer is bad. And I have had my bouts with cancer. Lung cancer is probably one of the worst. And so if everybody who listens to the show or the replays, could just maybe take a minute or two, shut their eyes and send a healing prayer to Rush Lombard to make him well, I would be much obliged. Anyway, when we come back from our break, I'm going to talk about my Bigfoot encounter back in the early 2000s up in the Canadian Rockies. And then after the news, after the top of the hour, we got George Workman coming on talking about his research and, investigations on Bigfoot. So stay tuned. You're listening to me, Gary, on Night Dreams Talk Radio. And we'll be back.
Scintillas in the stream, hoping for what's true. I'm trawling for honor in this shallow pool. Borealis starlit crown arches